Hey there, justice lovers. Before we dive into this breathtaking tale, do me a favor, like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories, and hit that notification bell. Trust me, this is one of those stories that proves karma isn't just real. It can be absolutely brutal. Are you ready for the most shocking twist you've ever witnessed? Imagine this. A woman, 7 months pregnant, stands on the threshold of what was supposed to be her future baby's room, now a battlefield of shattered dreams. Uncontrollable tears stream down her face as her eyes take in the devastation. Hand-painted murals slashed with red paint, a custom-made wooden crib torn to pieces, baby clothes ripped apart and scattered across the floor like broken promises. But there was something her cheating husband, Marcus, and his psychotic mistress, Victoria, didn't know. This was no ordinary pregnant woman. This was a mother protecting her unborn child. And when you threaten a mother's baby, you have just awakened the most dangerous force on earth. By the end of that night, Victoria will have no choice but to disappear, quietly, forever. Those were Isabelle's exact words as she planned her revenge. What Victoria didn't expect was that Isabelle was recording her every word. Do you believe a mother's love can overcome any betrayal? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The afternoon sun cast golden rays through the massive windows of a luxurious penthouse in New York City, illuminating what should have been the most beautiful room in the Serrano family mansion. Isabelle Garcia Serrano stood on the threshold of the nursery she had spent 6 months lovingly designing, her hand resting protectively on her 7-month pregnant belly. Every detail had been chosen with infinite care, from the hand-painted murals of dancing angels on the walls to the custom-made wooden crib that had taken a master carpenter 3 weeks to complete. At 28, Isabelle had an artistic soul that had made her one of Boston's most sought-after interior designers before she married Marcus Serrano 3 years ago. Her delicate features were enhanced by warm brown eyes that sparkled with creativity and intelligence. Now, carrying her first child, she radiated that special glow that made pregnancy beautiful. The soft pastel colors of the room, dusty pink, cream and gold, reflected her gentle nature and her dreams for the little girl who would soon call this room home. The nursery was her masterpiece. Silk curtains embroidered with butterflies framed the windows. An antique rocking chair sat beside the crib, where Isabelle had spent countless hours reading pregnancy books and imagining herself singing lullabies to her daughter. The walls were adorned with paintings she had created herself, whimsical scenes of mothers and babies, fairy tales, and garden parties where children played under rainbow skies. Marcus Serrano had built an empire around children's dreams. At 30, he was the brilliant and ruthless CEO of Angel's Legacy, a luxury baby goods chain worth €500 million. His stores spanned the United States, each one a temple to parenthood, where wealthy families came to buy everything from diamond-encrusted pacifiers to cribs made of exotic woods. Marcus was tall, with sharp features, and the kind of commanding presence that made boardrooms go silent when he entered. Their life together had seemed like a fairy tale. Lavish trips to Paris, where Marcus would buy her vintage baby clothes from exclusive boutiques. Weekends in Tokyo, selecting the finest silk for tiny kimonos. Diamond jewelry that caught the light just as beautifully as Isabelle's smile, when Marcus surprised her with another thoughtful gift. The media called them NYC's royal couple, the artistic beauty and the business titan building their empire of dreams. But fairy tales, Isabelle was about to learn, could turn into nightmares in the space of a single afternoon. The first crack in their perfect world appeared one Tuesday night in October. Marcus had been working late again, or so he claimed. These late nights had become increasingly frequent over the last 3 months, always with the excuse of expanding into the European market or finalizing the Asian distribution deal. Isabelle had tried to be understanding. After all, she had temporarily put her own career on hold to focus on the pregnancy and prepare for motherhood. That night, Marcus left his laptop open on the kitchen counter while he took a shower. Isabelle had no intention of snooping, but a notification sound caught her attention. An email had arrived from Victoria Ross, Angel's Legacy's head of marketing. Isabelle knew Victoria, a stunning 26-year-old with flowing black hair, emerald eyes, and the kind of curves that made men stop mid-sentence. She was brilliant at her job, having grown Angel's Legacy's social media presence by 300% in just 1 year. The email preview made Isabelle's blood run cold. "Honey, I can't wait for you to leave that pregnant woman and for us to start our real life together." With trembling fingers, Isabelle opened the email. What she read tore her world into a million pieces. "Marcus, my love, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of pretending I respect that wife of yours while she waddles around the house playing house. You promised me that after the baby was born, you would divorce her and we would be together openly. I want it now. I've given you the best year of my life and I deserve more than stolen moments in hotel rooms. I want you to leave her. Today. That baby doesn't need to be raised by a father who doesn't love its mother. I'll give you children, real children, born out of love, not obligation. The new store opening is in 3 weeks. I want to walk into that event as your official partner, not as your dirty little secret. Choose, Marcus, her or me. Forever yours, Victoria. P.S. I have a little surprise planned for your precious wife's nursery. She needs to understand there's no place for her baby in our future." Isabelle read the email 3 times, each reading making the words cut deeper into her heart. Her legs gave out, and she sank into a kitchen chair, one hand clasped over her mouth to stifle a sob, the other cradling her belly protectively. The baby kicked, as if sensing her distress. When Marcus came out of the shower 20 minutes later, his hair still damp and looking more attractive than ever in his silk pajamas, Isabelle was waiting for him with the laptop open. "How long?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Marcus looked at the screen, and for a moment his confident facade cracked. But instead of shame or remorse, his expression hardened into something cold and calculating. "How long what, Isabelle? Don't lie to me, not now. How long have you been sleeping with Victoria?" Marcus walked over to the kitchen island, poured himself a glass of whiskey, and drank it slowly before answering. 14 months. The casual way he said it, as if he were talking about the weather, made Isabelle's heart shatter completely. 14 months. But that means you were with her when we conceived the baby. You were with her during my morning sickness. You were with her when we first heard the heartbeat. Isabelle, you're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" Isabelle's voice rose, echoing in the marble kitchen. "Dramatic? I'm 7 months pregnant with your child, and you've been having an affair for over a year. Keep your voice down, the neighbors." "I don't care about the neighbors." Isabelle stood up, swaying slightly, as the pregnancy made sudden movements difficult. "I care about my husband. I care about our marriage. I care about our baby." Marcus finished his whiskey and set the glass down with a sharp clink. "The truth is, Isabelle, Victoria understands my world better than you ever have. She understands business. She understands ambition. She doesn't just sit around painting pictures of clouds and rainbows." Each word was a knife to Isabelle's heart. "Painting pictures? Is that what you think I do? I built a successful design business before I married you. I gave it up to support your dreams, to create a home for us, and I appreciate it. But Victoria, she challenges me. She makes me want to conquer the world. You make me want to settle." The word settle hung in the air like poison. Isabelle felt she might collapse, but something inside her, perhaps a maternal protective instinct, kept her on her feet. What about our baby? What about the nursery I've been preparing? What about the life we planned? Marcus's expression didn't soften. The baby will be fine. You'll be a good mother. But Victoria and I are going to build something bigger than you can imagine. That night, Isabelle lay awake in her king-sized bed, listening to Marcus sleep peacefully beside her, as if nothing had changed. She stared at the ceiling, her hand moving in slow circles over her belly, whispering to her unborn daughter. "It's going to be okay, my girl. Mommy will figure this out. Mommy will protect you." The next morning, Marcus left for work early without a goodbye. Isabelle had a prenatal appointment at 11, a routine checkup she had been looking forward to because Marcus had promised to attend. She called his office, but his secretary said he was in meetings all day. Dr. Martinez, Isabelle's obstetrician, was concerned about her elevated blood pressure and stress levels. "Mrs. Serrano, I need you to take it easy. This kind of stress is not good for you or the baby." "I'm fine, doctor. Just some work pressure. Perhaps your husband could come to the next appointment. It's important for partners to be involved, especially as we get closer to birth." Isabelle forced a smile. "He's very busy with his business, but I'll ask him after the appointment." Isabelle drove through Central Park, taking the long way home. She needed time to think, to process, to figure out what to do next. The autumn leaves were turning brilliant shades of gold and red, and she tried to find peace in their beauty. She pulled into a small cafe and ordered a decaf latte, sitting by the window and watching young mothers wind strollers down the sidewalk. She made a decision. She would fight for her marriage. She would confront Victoria. She would remind Marcus of everything they had built together, everything they could still build. She wasn't going to let another woman destroy her family before it had truly begun. Isabelle arrived home at 3 o'clock, feeling more determined than she had since she discovered the email. She walked upstairs to the second floor, planning to take a short nap before Marcus came home. As she reached the top of the stairs, she heard something that made her freeze. Music was playing from the nursery, not the soft classical music she often put on while arranging baby clothes, but loud, aggressive pop music that seemed to mock the gentle atmosphere she had so carefully created. Isabelle's heart began to race. She had locked the nursery door before she left for her appointment, a habit she had developed because the room was so precious to her. Who could be inside? She crept up to the nursery door, which was slightly ajar, and what she saw made her gasp in horror. Victoria Ross was standing in the center of the room, beautiful and terrible, in a way that seemed almost unnatural. She wore a tight black dress and stiletto heels. Her dark hair flowed over her shoulders like a malevolent waterfall. In her hands, she held a can of red paint, and she was systematically destroying everything Isabelle held dear. The hand-painted murals were covered in violent slashes of red paint. The word "unwanted" was scrawled across the wall, where Isabelle had painted a mother holding her baby. The antique rocking chair was toppled over, its delicate upholstery slashed with what looked like a knife. The baby clothes were scattered across the floor, ripped and stained with paint, but the worst was yet to come. As Isabelle watched in silent horror, Victoria raised a hammer and brought it down on the custom-made wooden crib, splintering the headboard that had been carved with dancing angels. "No!" Isabelle screamed, running into the room. "Stop it! Please stop!" Victoria spun around, and her beautiful face was twisted with malicious satisfaction. "Oh, look! The pregnant princess is home. Get out of my house! Get out of my baby's room! Your baby's room!" Victoria laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Honey, there's no room for your baby in Marcus's future. He's mine now. This whole house will be mine soon." Isabelle looked around at the destruction. Her hands shook as she took in the magnitude of what Victoria had done. 6 months of work, of love, of dreams, all destroyed in a single afternoon of rage. How could you do this? How could you destroy something so innocent? Because I need you to understand that Marcus chose me, not you, not your boring suburban dreams. Me. Victoria stepped closer, her heels crunching on the broken pieces of the wooden mobile that had hung over the crib. He gave me the key to this house. He told me to come here and make myself comfortable. So I did. You're lying! Victoria reached into her purse and pulled out a set of keys, dangling them mockingly in front of Isabelle's face. Am I? These are the real deal, honey. Marcus gave them to me last week. He also gave me something else. From her purse, Victoria pulled out a small black velvet box. With a theatrical flourish, she opened it to reveal a stunning diamond ring. Not an engagement ring, but something even more precious. It was a push present, the kind of gift husbands gave their wives after the birth of their children. He bought it for me, Victoria purred, for when I give birth to his real children. Children who won't have to grow up knowing their father never loved their mother. Isabelle felt she might faint. She grabbed the doorframe for support, her vision blurring with tears and shock. You're not pregnant. Not yet. But I will be. As soon as Marcus divorces you and marries me, we'll start our perfect family, the family he truly wants. As if summoned by their voices, footsteps sounded on the stairs. Marcus appeared in the doorway, and for a moment he seemed genuinely surprised by the scene before him. His eyes scanned the destroyed room, Victoria standing in the rubble with paint on her hands, and Isabelle slumped against the wall, tears streaming down her face. Victoria, what the hell did you do? I did what needed to be done, Victoria responded coldly. I made it clear there's no place for her or her baby in our future. Isabelle looked at her husband with desperate hope. Surely now he would see what kind of woman Victoria really was. Surely now he would throw her out and beg for Isabelle's forgiveness. Instead, Marcus walked over to Victoria and put his arm around her waist. You shouldn't have done this here. What if the neighbors heard? Isabelle's world completely fell apart. Her husband's concern was not for her pain or for her destroyed nursery. It was for what the neighbors might think. Marcus, Isabelle whispered, look what she did to our baby's room. Look what she did to everything I made for our daughter. Marcus looked at the room with what seemed like mild irritation, as if someone had just rearranged the furniture in a way he didn't prefer. It's just stuff, Isabelle. We can buy new things. It's not just stuff. This was our baby's first home. These were the walls she would have looked at as a child. This was the chair where I was going to nurse her and sing to her. Isabelle, you're being hysterical. Pregnancy hormones make women emotional. The doctor, what's his name? Dr. Williams? He told us that. Victoria smiled in satisfaction. See, honey, she's exactly as dramatic as I told you she'd be. Marcus nodded, as if this confirmed something they had discussed many times. Victoria's right. You always make a big production out of everything. This is just a room. We'll hire someone to redecorate it. Redecorate it! Isabelle's voice was rising almost to a shout. She destroyed everything. She destroyed 6 months of work. She destroyed things I made with my own hands for our daughter. Our daughter will be fine in any room. She won't remember what color the walls were. The casual cruelty of his words broke something fundamental inside of Isabelle. She realized that the man she had loved, the man she had married, the father of her child, that man no longer existed, or he never had. Victoria stepped forward, her beautiful face radiating fake sympathy. Isabelle, honey, this is actually a blessing. You get to start over. Maybe design a room that's more realistic, more fitting for a single mother's budget. Single mother? Isabelle's voice was barely a whisper. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Isabelle, we need to talk about our future, about what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone is for you to throw this woman out of our house and remember that you have a wife and a baby on the way. I have a business empire to think about, Marcus responded coldly. Victoria understands that empire. She's part of it. You're just the woman who got pregnant at an inconvenient time." The words hit Isabelle like physical blows. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, in the rubble of her dreams, her arms wrapped protectively around her belly. Victoria knelt beside her with feigned concern. "Oh, honey, don't cry. I'm sure you'll find someone else eventually, someone more suited for a woman with your limitations." From her purse, Victoria took out a photograph and dropped it into Isabelle's lap. It was an ultrasound image, just like the one Isabelle had treasured from her own pregnancy. But this one had Victoria's name on it. "Surprise," Victoria whispered. "I'm 6 weeks pregnant with Marcus's baby, the baby he actually wants." Isabelle stared at the ultrasound image, and suddenly everything was clear. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just a moment of weakness or a midlife crisis. This was a calculated takeover of her entire life. "The timing is perfect," Marcus said, his voice taking on the same tone he used in business meetings. "Victoria will have the baby only 6 months after yours. We can raise them together as one real family." "And me?" Isabelle whispered. "You'll figure it out. You're smart. You'll be fine." Victoria stood up and dusted imaginary dirt from her black dress. "We should go, honey. I have a massage appointment at 4, and then we're meeting with the lawyer about, well, you know." They walked out of the destroyed room arm in arm, leaving Isabelle sitting on the floor, surrounded by the shattered remnants of her dreams. She heard their voices echoing down the hallway. She heard Victoria's laughter blend with Marcus's deeper tones. She heard the front door close as they left for their massage and their lawyer. For a long time, Isabelle remained motionless in the rubble. The baby kicked inside her, strong movements that seemed to say, "I'm still here, Mom. I'm still counting on you." Slowly and painfully, Isabelle began to pick up the pieces. Not to clean them, that would come later, but to examine them, to understand exactly what had been taken from her. As she lifted a shard of the broken mobile, something caught her eye. In her purse, which Victoria had carelessly left behind in her dramatic exit, was a small recording device, the same kind Isabelle had used when conducting interviews with clients for her design business. The red light was blinking, indicating it was still recording. Victoria, in her arrogance and her need to document her victory, had recorded the entire thing. Isabelle picked up the device and held it carefully, as if it were made of the most precious crystal. For the first time since she had read that email, she smiled. "Oh, Victoria," she whispered to the empty room, "you have no idea what you just did." As the afternoon sun streamed through the broken remains of the nursery windows, Isabelle Garcia Sterling began to plan. She was no longer just a pregnant woman who had been betrayed. She was a mother protecting her child. And they were all about to learn that there was nothing more dangerous in the world than a mother who had been pushed too far. The war had begun, and Isabelle intended to win. The night after Victoria destroyed the nursery, Isabelle didn't sleep. She sat in the window seat of the master bedroom, wrapped in a cashmere blanket, watching the city lights flicker below, while Marcus slept peacefully in their bed, as if nothing had changed. The recording device lay in her lap, like a weapon waiting to be deployed. She had listened to the recording, over and over. Each playback revealed new details. Victoria's confession about the fake pregnancy test she had shown Marcus, her boasts about how she had manipulated him to gain access to the company's finances, her detailed plans to remove Isabelle from Marcus's life altogether. "The stupid bitch really thinks her little paintings matter," Victoria's voice crackled through the small speaker. "Once I'm Mrs. Serrano, I'm turning that pathetic art studio into a proper wine cellar, and that ridiculous nursery is going to be my walk-in closet." But the most damning revelation came near the end of the recording, when Victoria thought she was alone in the room. Phase 1 is complete. The nursery is destroyed, and she's broken. Phase 2. Get rid of her permanently. Marcus is too weak to do it himself, so I'll have to arrange something. A fall down the stairs during a pregnancy complication should do the trick. It will look natural. Isabelle's hand moved protectively to her belly. Victoria wasn't just trying to steal her husband. She was planning to kill her. As the sun rose over New York City, Isabelle made a decision that would change everything. She wasn't going to run. She wasn't going to hide. She was going to fight back with every weapon at her disposal. And she had more weapons than Victoria realized. The first step was investigation. While Marcus showered and got ready for another day of betraying his pregnant wife, Isabelle used her laptop to access Angel's Legacy's corporate databases. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she downloaded financial records, employee files, and internal communications. What she found made her gasp. Victoria Ross had been stealing from the company for months. Small amounts at first, a few thousand here and there from the marketing budget, explained away as influencer partnerships and social media campaigns. But recently, the amounts had grown more audacious. In the last 2 months alone, Victoria had rerouted over $200,000 from various company accounts to a personal account under the name Maria Santos. Isabelle cross-referenced the name and found something even more shocking. Maria Santos was Victoria's real name, and she had a criminal record. 3 previous wealthy husbands, 3 similar patterns of seduction, theft, and mysterious accidents that left the wives either dead or missing. The woman who was living in Isabelle's house, destroying her life, planning to murder her, was a professional con artist and possibly a killer. Isabelle printed everything and hid the documents in her old work portfolio, the one she had used during her design career. Then she dressed carefully in a navy maternity dress and pearls. She wanted to look respectable, trustworthy, like someone who deserved to be believed. Her first stop was the district attorney's office, where she requested a meeting with Detective Sarah Miller, a woman Isabelle had met at a charity event who specialized in financial crimes and domestic violence cases. Detective Miller listened intently as Isabelle laid out the evidence. The recording, the financial documents, the background check on Victoria. "Mrs. Serrano," Detective Miller said, her voice grave. "This woman you've described, we've been tracking someone who matches this description for 2 years. If she's the same person, she's wanted in connection with 3 suspicious deaths and an estimated $2 million in theft. What do I do? My husband doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm just jealous. First, stay safe. Do not confront her directly. Second, document everything. Keep recording conversations if you can. Third," Detective Miller paused, studying Isabelle's face carefully. "Do you have a safe place to go? Family? Friends she doesn't know about?" "Yes, my college roommate Anna lives in Philadelphia. But I can't just run away. This is my life, my home, my baby's future. Mrs. Serrano, I understand your feelings, but—" "No," Isabelle interrupted, surprising herself with the firmness of her voice. "I'm not going to run. I'm going to fight back. I need to know what evidence you need to arrest her." Detective Miller smiled for the first time during their meeting. "I like your spirit. Here's what we need." For the next hour, Detective Miller laid out a plan. Isabelle would continue to document Victoria's activities while staying safely out of her way. The police would begin surveillance and work on building a case, but they needed more proof, particularly proof of the death threats and the financial theft. "There's one more thing," Detective Miller said, as Isabelle got ready to leave. "Do you have any business connections who might be willing to help? Someone in Victoria's professional circle who might have noticed irregularities?" Isabelle thought for a moment. Then she smiled. "I think I know exactly the right person." Daniel Smith had been in love with Isabelle Garcia since their sophomore year at Columbia University. He was 2 years older, studying business while she was in fine arts, and he had spent countless hours in the library pretending to study while he was actually watching her sketch in her notebook. He had been planning to ask her out when she started dating Marcus Serrano, the charismatic MBA student who seemed to have everything Daniel lacked: confidence, family money, and the kind of aggressive ambition that drew attention. Daniel had stepped aside gracefully, but he never forgot Isabelle. He built his own business empire, founding Cradle's Comfort, a boutique chain of baby stores that competed directly with Marcus's Angel's Legacy. While Angel's Legacy focused on luxury and excess, Cradle's Comfort emphasized craftsmanship, sustainability, and a genuine care for child development. Daniel's stores were smaller, but more profitable, and his company had been steadily gaining market share for 3 years. He was in his Philadelphia flagship store reviewing quarterly reports when his assistant announced that Isabelle Serrano was on the phone. "Daniel." Isabelle's voice was soft, uncertain. "I hope you don't mind me calling. I got your number from the Columbia alumni directory." "Isabelle, of course I don't mind. How are you? How's the pregnancy going?" There was a pause, and when Isabelle spoke again, Daniel could hear tears in her voice. "Daniel, I need help. I'm in trouble and I don't know who else to turn to. Don't know who." In 6 hours, Daniel was on a plane to New York. They met in a small cafe in the Soho neighborhood, far from Madrid's social circles where Victoria might spot them. Isabelle had chosen a table in the corner where she could sit with her back to the wall, a precaution Detective Miller had suggested. Daniel arrived first. His heart broke when he saw Isabelle walk in, 7 months pregnant, and clearly exhausted. She was still the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, but there was something different about her, a strength in her spine that hadn't been there in college. "Thank you for coming," Isabelle said, as she carefully sat in the chair across from him. "Tell me everything." Isabelle told him everything. The affair, the destroyed nursery, Victoria's true identity, the death threats, the financial theft. She showed him the documents, played parts of the recording, and watched as his expression grew darker with each revelation. "This woman," Daniel said finally, "this Victoria, I've heard of her. She tried to poach 3 of my key employees last year with offers that seemed too good to be true. We ran a background check and found some irregularities, so we decided not to hire her team." "What kind of irregularities?" "Financial. References that didn't check out. A gap in her work history she couldn't explain." Daniel leaned forward, his voice intense. "Isabelle, I want to help you. Not just because of what this woman has done to you, but because she is clearly targeting successful businesses in our industry. If she's stealing from Angel's Legacy, she could come for Cradle's Comfort next. What do you propose?" Daniel smiled, and for the first time in days, Isabelle felt a flutter of hope. "I propose that we destroy her before she destroys anyone else, but we do it legally, thoroughly, and in a way that guarantees she never hurts another family again." For the next 2 hours, they developed a plan that was both brilliant and audacious. Daniel would use his business connections to investigate Victoria's activities throughout the industry. Isabelle would continue to document evidence while keeping up the pretense of being a broken, defeated wife. Detective Miller would coordinate law enforcement activities, and when they had enough evidence, they would strike at the moment Victoria was most vulnerable and exposed. "There's one more thing," Daniel said, as they got ready to leave the cafe. "The Angel's Legacy flagship store opening is in 3 weeks. It's the biggest event in the baby industry this year. 500 VIP guests. Live stream, national media coverage. Victoria has been planning it for months. She sees it as her debut as Marcus's official partner. What if we make it her official downfall instead?" Isabelle looked at Daniel, seeing not just the kind boy who had watched her sketch in the library, but a brilliant business leader who understood exactly how to wage this war. "Daniel, there's something you need to know. When this is over, when Victoria is gone, and Marcus, when my marriage is over, I'm going to need to rebuild my life, my career, Everything. You'll always have a place at Cradle's Comfort, Isabelle. As a partner, not just as an employee. Your design skills combined with our business model could revolutionize the industry. For the first time since she had discovered Marcus's betrayal, Isabelle felt genuinely excited about the future. Partners. Business partners. Daniel paused, then took her hand gently. I've been waiting 8 years to say this. Isabelle, I've been in love with you since college. I know this isn't the right time, and I know you have a lot to get through, but when you're ready, if you ever are, I'll be here. Isabelle looked at their joined hands, then back up at Daniel's earnest face. Ask me again after we destroy Victoria Ross. That night, Isabelle returned home to find Marcus and Victoria in the living room, going over plans for the store opening. They were sitting close together on the couch, Victoria's hand resting possessively on Marcus's thigh, papers spread across the coffee table like a battle plan. Oh, look, Victoria said with fake sweetness. The pregnant princess is home. How was your day, honey? More painting? More nesting? Just some errands, Isabelle responded calmly. Doctor's appointment, some shopping. The usual. Marcus didn't even look up from the papers. Isabelle, Victoria and I are working. Could you keep it down? Maybe watch TV in the bedroom. Of course, I wouldn't want to disturb anything important. Isabelle walked up the stairs slowly, making sure her footsteps were audible. But instead of going into the bedroom, she slipped into the guest room that overlooked the living room and positioned herself carefully near the heating vent, where she could hear every word of their conversation. She's pathetic, Victoria was saying. Did you see how she just accepted being dismissed? She has no fight left. The pregnancy has made her emotional and weak. It's for the best, easier to handle the transition. Speaking of transitions, have you signed the divorce papers yet? My lawyer is finalizing them. I'll serve her after the store opening. I want that event to go off perfectly before we deal with the domestic stuff. Good, because I have a little surprise planned for the opening. Something that will make it very clear to everyone who the real Mrs. Serrano is. Isabelle pressed the record app on her phone, her heart racing as she captured every word. What kind of surprise? Marcus asked. Let's just say that by the end of that night, Isabelle will understand that she has no choice but to disappear. Quietly. Forever. Victoria, we talked about this. No violence. I won't be involved in anything that can be traced back to me. Don't worry, honey. It will look like an accident, a fall, a pregnancy complication. These things happen all the time. And afterward, you'll be free to marry me and start our real family. Marcus was silent for a long moment. So you're sure it will look natural? Completely natural. I've done it before. Remember, huh? Know how to handle inconvenient wives. Isabelle's blood ran cold. Victoria wasn't just planning to kill her. Marcus was actively participating in the plan. The man she had loved, the father of her child, was planning her murder. She crept back to the master bedroom and locked the door. Then she called Detective Miller's hotline. Detective, it's Isabelle Serrano. I just recorded them planning my murder, and I think I know when they're going to do it. 3 weeks. She had 3 weeks to gather enough evidence to destroy both Victoria and Marcus before they destroyed her. 3 weeks to protect her unborn child and to build a new life from the ashes of her old one. Isabelle looked in the bedroom mirror. The frightened, betrayed woman who had discovered her husband's affair was gone. In her place stood someone tougher, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. Game on, she whispered to her reflection. The baby kicked as if in agreement. Mother and daughter were going to war together, and they were going to win. The morning of the Angel's Legacy flagship store opening dawned crisp and clear, with the kind of autumnal sun that made NYC look like a movie set. Fifth Avenue had been closed to traffic for 3 blocks. Red carpets had been rolled out, and security barriers erected to hold back the hundreds of photographers and reporters who were covering what industry magazines had dubbed the baby retail event of the decade. Inside the Serrano family penthouse, Victoria Ross stood in front of a full-length mirror, applying the finishing touches to her makeup. She wore a stunning white gown, deliberately bridal in its elegance, with a subtle cut that showed just a hint of her supposedly pregnant stomach. The dress had cost $15,000, charged to the Angel's Legacy marketing account as a promotional expense. "You look perfect," Marcus said, adjusting his black tuxedo in the mirror beside her. "Everyone will know you're the real Mrs. Serrano after tonight." "The only Mrs. Serrano soon," Victoria responded with a smile that was both beautiful and terrifying. 3 blocks away, in a nondescript hotel room, Isabelle Serrano was sitting in front of a laptop, surrounded by Detective Miller, Daniel Smith, and a team of federal agents. Her 7.5-month pregnant belly made it impossible to sit comfortably, but the adrenaline had kicked in, sharpening her focus to a razor's edge. "Final communications check," Detective Miller said into her radio. "All units in position. Unit 1 confirms. We have eyes on the main entrance. Unit 2 confirms. Surveillance team is active and recording. Unit 3 confirms. Financial Crimes Division is on standby." Daniel handed Isabelle a small device that looked like a compact mirror. "Press the button if you feel unsafe at any time. We'll have agents inside in 30 seconds. "I'll be fine," Isabelle said, though her hands were shaking slightly. After tonight, Victoria Ross will never harm another family again. Detective Miller reviewed the plan one last time. "You'll enter the event at exactly 8:30 after the main introductions begin. Victoria will be on stage with Marcus, accepting congratulations and posing for photos. That's when you make your entrance. And the evidence? It's all loaded onto the USB drive Daniel gave you. Financial records, criminal background, recordings of Victoria planning your murder, and the recording device she accidentally left behind after destroying the nursery. When you plug that drive into the presentation system, it will display on all the store's screens and be live-streamed to every news outlet covering the event." Isabelle nodded, her mind running through every detail of what was about to happen. She had spent 3 weeks preparing for this moment, gathering evidence, coordinating with law enforcement, and preparing for the performance of her life. "There's one more thing," Daniel said quietly, "about what happens after tonight. About us. Daniel, I know this isn't the time, but I need you to know that whatever you decide, whatever you need, I'll be here. As a business partner, as a friend." He paused. "As whatever you want me to be." Isabelle looked at this man who had flown across the country to help her, who had risked his own business to fight her battles, who had loved her in silence for 8 years without asking for anything in return. "Ask me again tomorrow," she said softly, "when this is over." At exactly 8 o'clock, the doors to the new Angel's Legacy flagship store opened to reveal a wonderland of childhood dreams and parental fantasies. The 5-story building had been transformed into something between a palace and a theme park, with each floor dedicated to a different stage of child development. Crystal chandeliers hung over displays of diamond-encrusted cribs. A working carousel featured high-end strollers. The walls were covered with enlarged photographs of beautiful families, all featuring Marcus and Victoria as the perfect couple. The guest list read like a who's who of Spanish wealth and power. Tech billionaires mingled with movie stars. Politicians chatted with fashion designers. The press area was packed with reporters from every major news outlet. Their cameras were all focused on the grand staircase where Marcus and Victoria would make their entrance. At 8:15, Marcus Serrano appeared at the top of the staircase, resplendent in his custom-made tuxedo. The crowd applauded as he slowly descended, every inch the successful businessman celebrating his greatest triumph. Behind him, Victoria made her entrance like a movie star, her white dress flowing behind her as photographers captured her from every angle. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus spoke into a wireless microphone. His voice carried across the store and was live-streamed to viewers around the world. Welcome to the future of childhood luxury. Welcome to Angel's Legacy 5th Avenue. The crowd applauded enthusiastically as Victoria joined Marcus at the microphone. She placed her hand protectively over her belly in a gesture that was photographed by dozens of cameras. This store represents more than just a business success, Victoria said, her voice sweet and innocent. It represents the dreams Marcus and I share for our growing family. Soon, our own little angel will play in these halls, sleep in these cribs, and grow up surrounded by the love and luxury that every child deserves. The crowd murmured with delight at this public confirmation of what had been whispered in social circles for months. Marcus Serrano was leaving his pregnant wife for his beautiful young mistress, and tonight was their public debut as a couple. Before we go on, Marcus said, I want to take a moment to thank a very special someone, Victoria Ross, my brilliant chief of marketing, and the woman who made this night possible. Victoria, would you like to say a few words about our future together? Victoria stepped up to the microphone, her face glowing with triumph. I want to thank everyone for being here to celebrate this new beginning. Marcus and I are building more than a business empire. We're building a family legacy that will last for generations, and I want to be very clear about something. There's no place in our future for people who don't support our vision, our values, and our commitment to excellence. The subtext was clear to everyone in the room. The mysterious pregnant wife was officially being replaced. Victoria continued, her voice taking on a harder edge. Some people might try to hold on to the past, to slow down progress with jealousy and manipulation. But Marcus and I are committed to moving forward, together, no matter what obstacles we might face. She paused for dramatic effect, her hand still resting on her belly. In fact, I have an announcement to make. Marcus and I are... Excuse me. The voice came from the back of the crowd, soft but clear through the store's perfect acoustics. Heads turned, photographers swiveled their cameras, and a collective gasp went through the gathered guests. Isabelle Serrano was standing in the main doorway, silhouetted against the lights of 5th Avenue behind her. She wore a stunning navy silk maternity gown that accented rather than hid her 8-month pregnancy, and her dark hair was pulled back into an elegant bun. In her hand, she carried a small silver USB drive. She was not the broken, defeated woman Victoria expected to see. She was radiant, confident, and clearly very pregnant. I'm sorry to interrupt, Isabelle said, walking slowly into the crowd as people parted to let her pass. But I think there are a few things these good people should know before they celebrate too enthusiastically. Marcus's face went white. Victoria's perfect composure cracked slightly, though she quickly recovered her smile. Isabelle, Marcus said into the microphone, his voice carefully controlled. This is a private event. You were not invited. I'm your wife, Marcus, and this is my store too, at least according to the corporate documents I've been reviewing. Isabelle had reached the bottom of the grand staircase, close enough now for all the cameras in the room to focus on the three of them. I believe your guests deserve to know the truth about what they're celebrating. Victoria leaned into the microphone, her voice dripping with fake concern. Everyone, please excuse Mrs. Serrano. Pregnancy can be very difficult, and it sometimes affects women's judgment and emotional stability. The crowd murmured with sympathy, exactly as Victoria had planned. Several people even nodded their heads. They all knew how irrational pregnant women could be. You're absolutely right, Victoria, Isabelle said, with a smile that was pure steel. Pregnancy does affect a woman's judgment. It makes her very protective of her child. It makes her willing to do anything to ensure her baby's safety. She paused, looking directly at Victoria. And when someone threatens that baby, that's when you find out what a mother is truly capable of. She held up the USB drive for all to see. I have a few things I'd like to share with everyone. Some recordings, some documents, some very interesting information about the woman you're celebrating tonight. Security, Marcus barked, but Isabelle was already moving. She walked past Marcus and plugged the USB drive into the main console of the presentation system. Immediately, the gigantic screens throughout the store lit up with documents, photographs, and audio controls. "Ladies and gentlemen," Isabelle said, her voice now amplified through the store's sound system. "I'd like you to meet Maria Santos. That's Victoria's real name. She's wanted by the police in connection with 3 murders and an estimated $2 million in theft." The screens displayed Victoria's mugshot, along with her criminal record. The crowd gasped as they read the charges: fraud, embezzlement, suspicion of murder. "Stop it!" Victoria screamed, lunging at the console, but Isabelle had anticipated it. "I wouldn't touch that if I were you," Isabelle said calmly. "Not while everyone is watching." She pressed another button, and Victoria's voice filled the store. "I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of pretending I respect that wife of yours while she waddles around the house playing house." The crowd listened in stunned silence as the recording played. Victoria's voice confessing to the affair, the fake pregnancy, the financial theft. But the worst was yet to come. Isabelle played the recording from the living room 3 weeks earlier. Victoria's voice was crystal clear. "It will look like an accident, a fall, a pregnancy complication. These things happen all the time, and afterward, you'll be free to marry me and start our real family." Marcus's voice followed. "Are you sure it will look natural?" "Completely natural. I've done it before. Remember, I know how to handle inconvenient wives." The silence in the store was deafening. 500 of Spain's most powerful people had just listened to Marcus Serrano and his mistress plot to murder his pregnant wife. Victoria desperately tried to grab the microphone. "She's lying. Those recordings are fake. She's trying to frame me because she's jealous." But Isabelle wasn't done. She pressed another button, and the screens filled with bank records showing exactly how Victoria had stolen money from Angel's legacy. Hundreds of thousands of dollars rerouted into fake accounts, phony payments to contractors, fake marketing expenses. "The police have been investigating you for 2 years, Maria," Isabelle said, using Victoria's real name. "Did you really think you could get away with murdering me the same way you got away with murdering your other 3 husbands?" The crowd was backing away from Victoria now. Their faces were showing horror and disgust. Photographers were snapping every moment. Reporters were talking quickly into their phones. And social media was exploding with hashtags like #AngelsLegacyMurder and #PregnantWifeTakedown. Marcus tried to salvage the situation. "Everyone, please remain calm. This is clearly fabricated." "Is it, Marcus?" Isabelle interrupted. "Then I'm sure you won't mind explaining to the police why you helped plan my murder. I'm sure you can explain why you gave Victoria access to company funds. I'm sure you can explain why you've been living a double life while your pregnant wife trusted you completely." Daniel Smith appeared at Isabelle's side, having entered through a service entrance. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Daniel Smith, the Sue of Cradle's Comfort. I'm here to announce that Isabelle Serrano has just become my business partner and co-owner of both Cradle's Comfort and Angel's Zoa." The crowd gasped again. Isabelle smiled at their shocked faces. "That's right," she said. "While you were celebrating Marcus and Victoria's fake romance, I was buying the majority share in this company. All of the major investors pulled out when they learned about the financial fraud and the murder plot. It turns out threatening to kill your pregnant wife is bad for business," Daniel said with a smirk. Marcus stared at her in complete shock. "That's impossible. You don't have that kind of money." "I have something better than money, Marcus. I have the truth, and I have friends who believe in justice." Isabelle looked at the crowd of reporters and photographers. Daniel Smith's investment firm has purchased 60% of the outstanding shares of Angel's Legacy. As of tonight, I'm the majority owner of this company." Victoria was backing toward the exit now, her beautiful face twisted in rage and panic. "This isn't working. You can't prove anything. Nobody move." Federal agents streamed into the store from all entrances, their guns drawn and their badges clearly visible. Detective Miller appeared by the main staircase, speaking into a megaphone. "Maria Santos, also known as Victoria Ross, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, wire fraud, money laundering, and violation of federal racketeering statutes." Victoria tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The store was surrounded, all exits blocked by law enforcement. She was tackled by 2 agents before she reached the door, her white dress tearing as she fought against the handcuffs. "Marcus Serrano," Detective Miller continued, "you're also under arrest as an accomplice to conspiracy to commit murder and as a co-conspirator in the financial crimes committed against Angel's legacy." Marcus stood frozen on the staircase as agents approached him, his face a mask of disbelief and terror. "This can't be happening. I'm Marcus Serrano. I'm a respected businessman." "You're a man who planned to murder his pregnant wife," Detective Miller responded as the cuffs clicked into place. "Respect is something you threw away." As Marcus and Victoria were led away in handcuffs, the crowd of guests stood in stunned silence. Then, slowly, someone began to applaud. Then another person joined in. Within seconds, the entire store was filled with thunderous applause as 500 people gave Isabelle Serrano a standing ovation. Isabelle stood on the grand staircase, one hand resting on her pregnant belly, the other holding Daniel's hand. The baby kicked hard, as if celebrating their victory. "Ladies and gentlemen," Isabelle said into the microphone, her voice clear and confident across the store and to the millions watching the live stream, "Angel's legacy will continue to operate under new management. We will implement new policies focused on integrity, family values, and a genuine care for children and parents. And we will donate Marcus Serrano's personal profits from the last year to organizations that support victims of domestic violence." The applause grew even louder. Daniel stepped up to the microphone. "Cradle's Comfort and Angel's Legacy will be merging to create the largest and most ethical children's product retailer in the United States. Our first initiative will be the New Beginnings program, which will provide job training and support to women escaping abusive relationships." As the applause continued, Isabelle felt the baby kick again, and she smiled. Her daughter would grow up in a world where justice was possible, where mothers could fight back and win, where the truth was more powerful than money or manipulation. The little girl who would have slept in the nursery Victoria destroyed would instead inherit a business empire built on love, integrity, and the unshakable strength of a mother's protection. Marcus Serrano and Victoria Ross were led away to face federal charges that would put them both in prison for decades. The store that was supposed to celebrate their triumph had become the scene of their downfall, and Isabelle Serrano, who had been betrayed, threatened, and left for dead, stood victorious in the rubble of their plans, ready to build something better from the ashes of their greed. Justice, it turned out, was the most beautiful thing of all. 6 months later, the morning sun streamed through the massive windows of the new Angel's Legacy and Cradle's Comfort corporate headquarters in downtown Manhattan, casting a golden light on the nursery room where Isabelle Garcia Smith sat in a rocking chair, cradling her 3-month-old daughter, Sophia Smith. The nursery was 10 times more beautiful than the one Victoria had destroyed. Instead of being hidden away in a private home, it was part of the executive floor of the company headquarters, a statement that mothers belonged in the business world, that children were not obstacles to success, but inspirations for it. Sophia was perfect in every way a baby could be perfect. She had Isabelle's delicate features and Daniel's calm temperament, and she seemed to find everything in the world fascinating. At this moment, she was staring at the mobile of dancing angels that hung over her crib. A new one, handmade by the same artisan who had done the original, but even more intricate and beautiful. "Good morning, my little angel," Isabelle whispered, stroking Sophia's soft, dark hair. "Today is a very special day. Today, Mommy and Daddy are going to show the world what we built together." The transformation of both companies had been nothing short of miraculous. Within 3 months of Marcus's arrest, Angel's Legacy and Cradle's Comfort had become the most profitable and fastest-growing children's product retailer in the country. The merger had eliminated redundancies, combined the best elements of both brands, and created a corporate culture focused on integrity and innovation. Isabelle had proven to be a brilliant CEO. Her artistic vision, combined with Daniel's business acumen, had revolutionized everything from store design to product development. They had launched a line of eco-friendly baby furniture that was selling faster than they could make it. Their New Beginnings program had provided jobs and support to over 500 women escaping abusive relationships. The company's stock price had tripled, but beyond the business success, Isabelle had built the life she had always dreamed of. She had married Daniel in a small ceremony in the New York Botanical Garden, with Sophia as their flower girl. She was carried down the aisle by Daniel's sister, since she was too small to walk. They lived in a penthouse overlooking Central Park, where Sophia's room looked out on the trees and playgrounds, where she would one day play. The best part was that Sophia would grow up knowing she was wanted, loved, and cherished by both of her parents. She would never doubt her place in the world, or wonder if she was valued. "Mrs. Garcia Smith," Daniel's voice came from the doorway, still formal during office hours, though they had been married for 2 months. "The press conference is ready to begin." Isabelle looked at her husband and felt the same flutter of happiness she experienced every time she saw him. Daniel was everything Marcus had never been. Kind, trustworthy, supportive, and completely devoted to both her and Sophia. He had legally adopted Sophia before their wedding, insisting that she needed a father who would always put her first. "How do I look?" Isabelle asked, standing up carefully. She wore a stunning navy pantsuit that perfectly balanced professional authority with maternal warmth. Her hair was styled in an elegant updo, and she wore the pearl necklace Daniel had given her as a wedding gift. "Like the most powerful woman in New York City," Daniel responded. Then he smiled. "And the most beautiful." They walked together through the executive offices, past walls covered with pictures of happy families, inspirational quotes about motherhood and success, and framed articles about the company's remarkable turnaround. Employees smiled and waved as they passed, genuine smiles from people who were proud to work for a company that valued integrity. The press conference was being held in the main showroom of their flagship store, the same location where Victoria Ross had been arrested 6 months earlier. But today, the room was filled with celebration instead of scandal. Representatives from business magazines, parenting publications, and major news outlets had all gathered to hear Isabelle's announcement about the company's expansion plans. As Isabelle took the stage, carrying Sophia in her arms, the gathered reporters stood and applauded. The story of her triumph over betrayal and near murder had captivated the nation, inspiring millions of women and fundamentally changing conversations about corporate ethics and family values. "Thank you all for being here," Isabelle began, her voice clear and confident. 6 months ago, I stood on this same spot as a pregnant woman whose life was being destroyed by people she trusted. Today, I'm here as a mother, a CEO, and living proof that justice, integrity, and love are more powerful than greed, betrayal, and evil. The audience clapped enthusiastically. Sophia, comfortable in her mother's arms, babbled happily at the lights and cameras. "When Victoria Ross destroyed my baby's room, she thought she was destroying my future. When she planned to murder me, She thought she was clearing the way for her own success. What she didn't understand is that mothers are the most dangerous opponents in the world, not because we're violent, but because we are relentless in protecting our children. Isabelle looked down at Sophia, who was trying to reach the microphone with her chubby little hands. This little girl will grow up in a world where companies are held accountable for their actions, where families are valued above profit, and where women can build empires while raising children. She will inherit a business built on the foundation of her mother's refusal to accept injustice. Daniel joined Isabelle on stage, placing his arm around his wife and daughter. Today, we're announcing the opening of 50 new Angels Legacy and Cradles Comfort stores across the country, Daniel said. Each one will include an employee childcare center, a community space for new mothers, and a donation center for families in need. We are proving that business success and social responsibility are not just compatible. They are inseparable. A female reporter raised her hand. Mrs. Garcia Smith, what would you say to other women who might be facing similar situations? Betrayal, abuse, threats? Isabelle considered the question carefully. I would tell them that they are stronger than they think they are, that they deserve more than they're getting, and that there are people who will help them fight back. I would tell them that justice might not come quickly, but it will come if you are persistent and smart about seeking it. She paused, looking directly into the cameras that were live streaming around the world. Most importantly, I would tell them that surviving betrayal isn't enough. You have to thrive beyond it. You have to build something so beautiful, so successful, and so meaningful that the people who tried to destroy you realize they only made you stronger. Another reporter asked, have you had any contact with your ex-husband or Victoria Ross since their arrest? Marcus and Victoria are serving long federal prison sentences. Marcus was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and racketeering. He received 25 years. Victoria, or Maria Santos, as her real name turned out to be, was convicted of murder, attempted murder, fraud, and running a criminal enterprise. She received life without parole. Isabelle's voice remained steady and professional, showing no emotion as she gave this information. I did receive a letter from Marcus about a month after Sophia was born. He wrote to say he was sorry for everything he had done, and that he hoped Sophia grew up to be as strong as her mother. I did not respond. My daughter and I have moved on with our lives, and have no intention of looking back. The final question came from a young female reporter. What advice would you give to young women who want to have successful careers and families? Isabelle smiled, kissing the top of Sophia's head. I would tell them that it's not only possible, it's powerful. Being a mother doesn't make you weak, distracted, or less capable in business. It makes you fierce, focused, and absolutely unstoppable. When you're building something for your children, when you're creating a better world for them to inherit, there is no limit to what you can achieve. When the press conference ended and the reporters filed out to write their stories, Isabelle and Daniel went back to their offices with Sophia. The baby was starting to get sleepy, so Isabelle settled into the rocking chair in the executive nursery while Daniel reviewed the afternoon schedule. Board meeting at 3, he said, sitting on the arm of the rocking chair. The architects want to pitch the designs for the Barcelona flagship store at 4, and we have a dinner with the London expansion investors at 7. Isabelle murmured, watching as Sophia's eyes fluttered shut. And somewhere in there, I need to pump, review the quarterly reports, and approve the new ad campaign. You know, Daniel said softly, when I was in college, watching you sketch in the library, I never imagined that someday we would be running a company together, raising a baby together, changing the world together. Isabelle looked at him with eyes full of love and contentment. Ask me again. Ask you what again? The question you've wanted to ask me every day for the last 6 months. Daniel's face lit up with understanding. He slid off the arm of the chair and knelt beside them, taking Isabelle's free hand in both of his. Isabelle Garcia Smith, you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever met. You are brilliant, beautiful, fierce, and kind. You are an incredible mother and an inspiring leader. Will you allow me to love you and Sophia for the rest of our lives? Will you build this empire with me? Will you raise our children together and show the world what a real partnership looks like? Yes, Isabelle whispered, tears of joy streaming down her face. Yes to all of it. Yes, forever. Daniel kissed her softly. Then he rested his forehead against hers. I love you. I've loved you for 8 years, and I'll love you for 80 more. Sophia stirred in her mother's arms, opening her eyes and looking at the two people who loved her most in the world. She babbled happily, as if she understood that she was a part of something beautiful, permanent, and good. That night, as Isabelle stood in the nursery watching Sophia sleep in her crib, she thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment, the pain of Marcus's betrayal, the terror of Victoria's threats, the long nights of gathering evidence and plotting her counterattack. It had all led her to this perfect life, with this perfect family. The woman who had once cowered in a destroyed room, whose dreams had been shattered by jealousy and greed, was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, wiser, and infinitely more powerful. Someone who had taken the worst betrayal imaginable and transformed it into the greatest possible triumph. Sophia would grow up hearing the story of how her mother had fought impossible odds and won. She would learn that women could be gentle and fierce, loving and powerful, protective and unstoppable. She would inherit not just a business empire, but a legacy of strength, justice, and the unshakable belief that good would ultimately triumph over evil. As Isabelle turned off the nursery lights and headed to her bedroom, where Daniel was waiting for her, she smiled at the irony of it all. Victoria Ross had thought she was destroying Isabelle's future when she ruined that first room. Instead, she had awakened a giant, and now the entire world knew exactly what happened when someone was foolish enough to threaten a mother's child. They lost everything, and the mother gained it all.